All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone online for attending and everyone in person. I know it's hard to make it out in this weather, but thank you. So we're here for our February PIC meeting, and first I'd like to call this meeting to order and start with the acknowledgement of the traditional lands.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
All right, great. So the agenda was sent out, so can we please get approval of the agenda?
I do.
Thank you. And second, Allison, thank you. Any declarations of conflict of interest by anyone, either in person or online? Okay, great, thank you. Then the minutes for the January meeting were also sent out, so I'd like to move to approve the minutes. Allison, thank you. And second? I'm sorry, thank you so much. All right, so now we're going to move on to our PIC updates, and we're going to start with what I personally think is a very exciting one, the programs update. So the programs deadline date was February 15th, and I would like to say with a lot of excitement that I think we've had our highest number of applicants ever. We had close to 170 applications. So, it's quite an undertaking to kind of go through and review everything, but we have been doing it. And it's actually really exciting to see what schools are applying for. So we've had a lot of proposals for workshops in mental health, a lot of STEM, a lot of technology, some family evenings. So we're just sort of going through all the applications very carefully, just making sure that, they meet the criteria. But the one thing that we can see with this is that simplifying the application has allowed more schools to apply. The barriers of having a lengthy application seem to not, be in the way this year. And it's actually really great to see so many schools applying. I think we have our work cut out for us, but it's a good problem to have. So as we're going through, we do see that there are some schools that have applied for initiatives that don't quite fall under the programs rules, but what we're going to do is we started to reach out to some of those schools just to let them know, that why their application doesn't meet the criteria, and we're giving them an opportunity to reapply. So we don't want to say no to anybody. We really would like to, get everyone on the school, and it's great because we're really going to maximize the program spending this year and really ensure that, parent engagement is top of mind here. So I anticipate that next meeting we'll have updates on, how many schools were funded and how much we spent on each school. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Shazia. Thank you, Shazia. Next agenda item for tonight is PIC communications. So can you go to the next slide, please? Next. So we would just like to introduce the PIC communication strategy to strengthen collaboration with the broader community and support student success. Building on the insights shared in the previous meeting, that we would like to review the effectiveness of current communication channels, including newsletters, social media, PDSB website postings, and memos distributed to superintendent, to school councils, and principal. Would like board to give us an update of the request that we made in the previous meeting.
So just by way of an update, so I did have a meeting with the manager of communications, and so as per our discussions, some of the things that we certainly can facilitate is a PIC communications to all families, which is amazing, and that would be through the CRA letters, but also the letters to all families, and that would certainly facilitate communication even beyond school councils to all families who are not on school councils. And so I think that's a wonderful thing. We do, however, need to make sure that we have the logistics in place, that the communications come to us and it's from PIC, and that it's cleared by the director's office in time for the all families message, but that certainly has been cleared to go. So I think that's going to be a wonderful way to communicate with families. I think the fact that so many applications have come in terms of the PRO grant applications really is testament to the fact that we have improved communications with schools and with students and families. We did do exactly that to promote the PRO grant. We did send a message out to all families to how they can apply. They certainly did reach out to their school council chairs, and we're so happy that they're having 170 applications is outstanding. Great work, Shazia and Saria. And 170 applications really means that we have 262 schools. So that's a large number of our schools who have applied. So that's great. So we're certainly committed to facilitating communications. Another strategy is also we do need to ensure and support school councils to check the website and so that they are checking the PIC website, and that the PIC website is updated, and we've been working with you to update the PIC website as well. It's critically important that we're encouraging school councils to check the website. Our communications manager as well has also committed to, if PIC is using social media, then the board will retweet and repost all of your posts. So we're certainly committed to making sure that we're supporting PIC to engage families in all the different mediums in which families should be engaged. Thanks.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Atia. So in the last meeting, we also requested, I know Atia covered most of the point, but just to have a recap, like dedicated PIC section in Peel District School Board monthly newsletters, and potential content ideas was upcoming events and workshops, resources for parents, success stories, and school council testimonials. And the purpose is to provide regular update of PIC activities, resources, initiatives. Is there any update on the status of proposal approval?
So I think that certainly through a process can be facilitated again with our communications manager. We will ensure that we're going through the channels of sending that newsletter out to all families to promote PIC events. It's also important that PIC events are also promoted on the website and on social media. So we're also committed to doing just that. Sending a message out. I think the best way that we can communicate with families is actually sending a message out to all families. Even if they're not on school council, they can reach out to their school councils. And it's the most important way to reach the largest number of families in the Peel District School Board.
It's wonderful. Thank you very much. And the next part of the presentation is the collaboration with parent engagement and communication department. So we would like to request from board communication department and what is the role of the department in supporting PIC communication. I know these are recurring questions, but we just want to break it down so that to make it more simpler to understand and the process for developing a structured communication plan.
So that I will take back to the manager of communications so that we certainly can co-construct and collaborate on a process and a clear and transparent process.
Thank you, Atya. Next slide, please. Next agenda item for tonight is the strategic planning committee update. It's a party oral and partly presentation. So we have come up with some of the suggestions that you can see on the screen. Structural literacy. It's mandated by the ministry. Structural literacy focuses on evidence-based reading instruction, helping parents of early year students understand phonics, decoding, and comprehension strategies. The PDSP is currently implementing a structural literacy program which uses systematic, explicit, and cumulative approach, emphasizing foundational components like phonemic awareness, phonics, and vocabulary. And next is new math curriculum, where you will get the overview of updates to Ontario's math curriculum that emphasizes financial literacy, coding, problem solving, and real-world application to enhance student learning. Indigenous education, which is to explore how Indigenous perspectives, histories, and cultures are integrated into the curriculum, promoting awareness, reconciliation, and respectful learning environment. Scooter safety bylaws. I will just go through all the topics. Empower modern learners. Black studies curriculum. Affirming Muslim student identities and dismantling Islamophobia. Holocaust curriculum showcase. Special education. Black student success strategy. CPR training for families. And PDSP partnership with TMU, UTM, and Algonquin universities. I just want to go into more detail for this insights into collaboration that provides students with unique learning opportunities, mentorship, and pathways to post-secondary success. This program prioritizes students from marginalized and equity-deserving communities, including Black and Indigenous students, providing access to an immense university experience that may not have otherwise considered. It also offers guidance to help students navigate the transition to post-secondary education with confidence. Next workshop item is a student and parent voice in the scene. So these are the suggestions, and we welcome more input of all of you into this suggestion for PIC event planning. Thank you. We are opening up suggestions from the parent members who are joined here.
Madam Co-Chair, should we first give access to our virtual team so they have any input and then we start from here? Please. Is anyone online would like to say or comment here, please?
Are you guys asking for input on like the topics?
Starting with the most recent one, the strategic planning topics we just discussed. Would you like to comment or give any inputs on that, please?
Yeah, I sent my feedback to Saria and I told her, and I'll say my concerns here, is that these different topics can't be weighted. Like they don't carry the same weight. Are we like prioritizing different ones? Are we it's hard to think that scooter safety bylaws and Black studies would receive, like it's just the two are two very different things, and one obviously way more important and impactful than the other. Do you guys know what I mean?
Madam Co-Chair, could you allow me to comment?
Sure, go ahead, please.
So Dima, like what I understood, and I respect your opinion. So as a team member, I was hoping that we are free to give our inputs and thoughts and share it. And once we have, collectively different opinions, we can vote on topics to prioritize. Just as a suggestion, nothing ignoring anyone, but we have to start from somewhere. So when we have a multiple option, multiple opinions, difference of opinions, it's a good idea to start with voting and prioritize topics, and others can also input on here on this, please.
Can I just say something? Can I clarify?
Sure. Go ahead.
So like today we saw a Peelschools cancel a black speaker, right? Palgrave Public School canceled a black speaker that was supposed to come to the school because of like wild claims being made about that person online. So that's why like I feel very strongly that the first thing that we should do is just prioritize where our resources for this event are going to. Like there's issues that are more dire than the rest of them, and it almost just makes no sense to put them all at the same level. That's what I'm saying. That's all I have to say. I just want to clarify myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dima, for your suggestion and for your recommendation. We have noted your comments, and we will sit back together again during the strategic planning meeting to prioritize the events and other timeline and place and everything. So thank you for your update. Is there any comment or suggestion?
Yeah, I would just add to that, and I shared this over an email, but just so, now that we're here discussing, I agree that the topics obviously are varied. And I think it would be interesting for us to really think about the different channels that we want to use to share information. So the in-person event is something we've done before, the online event. I'm really interested in, I guess, non-synchronous events and maybe even an audio series where people could go and access information on demand and experience that learning from the board without kind of all the planning and pressures and logistics of an event. And I would also add that I think we should be spending equal time thinking about directing information at parents and directing parent information back to the board. And I'm really interested in opening up that channel. And I had suggested maybe there's a forum. I do sort of wonder if that's an opportunity to get to, at least as a starting point, get school council executives together to talk about what's going on and what they're seeing and what's working, and getting some of that parent voice to the table. When we were at the Great Start event, I thought it was a great event, and I actually had to leave early. So some of this might have taken place at the end, but I left that event thinking, what a great opportunity to hear from parents in Peel. They're all in the room. And I think sometimes we forget because we want to pack the agenda and there's so much information to share. So I really want us to think about that.
Thank you, Alison, for your suggestion, and they are really helpful. And I want to go back, if you can go back to slide number 9. And as we have discussed earlier, that we are going to share this survey, that is MYSP survey, and that will be shared with PIC members and school council members. Can you open that survey? This survey is also the part of strategic planning. We will collect the data from our school council members and PIC members. There are regarding multiple topics of the MYSP, and we are planning to cover those topics as suggested by Alison already, that we will cover those topics during the PIC presentation, and where the board members, they will present one of the topic in each meeting, and where we can ask questions from the public point of view, from the community point of view. So these are the survey questions. You can see them later. We will share with the PIC members and school council members. Thank you. Next slide. Slide.
Madam Co-Chair, may I say something on
Sure.
the previous topic? So, on the topics, there are a lot of topics actually. And I'm sure some of them are very close to someone. Some of us, some feel that they're, less prioritized or less preferred, which is totally fine actually. I was hoping that, creating some kind of path that whatever the topic we choose after, agree together and prioritize those topics. I'm hoping we can have 2 sessions or 2 events this year before we end this year. And in that event, we can have some double-digit events, like topics to be covered. So what are we trying to achieve through those topics? Some are, some are educational. Like actually, they're all educational. Some are more socially connected. Some are more for awareness. Some are more for like both. So are we gonna do the awareness part during those sessions? Are we gonna deliver the resources available at the board? And are we gonna talk about what board recognize or we recognize together and what we can do about it? So, socially, okay. Or like, what are we trying to get out of that for the people, in our community? So I'm just hoping to set some kind of guidelines. It's a guideline. It's not a rule, okay? I'm requesting. So we can achieve, and when we ask for feedback after those events, we know how far we are in terms of our efforts. So I'm not putting a guide, like a set of guideline or rules that, we should do this or that. What I'm trying to say, whatever we do now for those 2 events or topics, we go with the mindset of some kind of guidelines in our own committees that we try to get this out of it from this events, and through feedback, it tells us how far we are from those achievements we're planning to do. Okay. The other part is that I give Madam Co-Chair through email input on the special education topic because it's also personally related to me. So I mentioned there briefly. So I mentioned there that being as this committee and in this part at PIC and even as school councils, I'm still not aware of there's a change in curriculum. I'm not saying in a negative way. I'm saying just I'm not aware of that there's something coming in fall, and I feel I'm not being engaged as a parent or family. So I would like have that kind of discussion going on at this level. So the school councils and the family caregivers through our platform get that information ahead of time. So I just would like to request on that part. Since we opened this forum to talk about it, I would like to just say on the communication part and request the board using this time that, we also looking as a team, like timelines or milestones, how are we gonna get this communication part done? And also, are we gonna do this, execute, like we're gonna finish the planning this year and we're gonna get this start from September. So I just would like something tangible, discussed during these next few meetings, whatever we have this year. So we can streamline or we can commit something for the next year, okay? For the minutes part, I just have a comment. I'm sorry I'm using this time. That the October minutes is not accessible for the public. It's there, but the link doesn't open. So I would like to request somebody to take a look for that, okay? Please.
Duly noted.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Adnan, and they are really helpful, your suggestions. They are noted your suggestion, and now we'd like to go to the next part of our agenda that is balancing screen time, finding the right approach for elementary students in school. I would like to invite Alison to present this part. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you. And I want to thank the co-chairs for putting this on the agenda. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some perspectives in service of a productive collaboration. And I'm going to share a few comments that I've prepared, and then I'd like to ask what we can do collectively about this issue. The Empowering Modern Learners Vision document is undergoing consultation, and we were invited at our last meeting to participate. I don't know if others had an opportunity to do so, but I was blocked from accessing the documents. So I would like to note that and to highlight that if there is a desire to invite consultation from PIC members, then that issue needs to be resolved so that we can do so. Based on the information published to the PDSB site, the EML seems to be both a general vision document for the PDSB's overall approach to education and the starting point for all things technology and innovation. The EML page currently opens with this statement. Today's students are leaders in the use of technology. More and more they tell us they want, they need their learning experiences in school to reflect this. Students want to take the technology they use in their daily lives and integrate it with how they learn. It then goes on to discuss digital citizenship, opening with this. Students are going to live and work in a world where people use their devices around the clock. They need to learn to use technology effectively and respectfully. Setting aside the provincial ministry ban on cell phones in the classroom, the ethos of these statements that students want and need their technology integrated with their learning and that they need to be prepared for a digital world feels better applied to secondary students than elementary and possibly even middle school. We can probably all agree that a 6-year-old doesn't need their tech integrated into their classroom learning, even if they wanted it. What about an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old or even a 13-year-old? Of course, many children would choose to play an interactive math game on a tablet over doing math problems with pencil and paper. So would many of us. As grown-ups, our job is to work out the line between empowering their agency and using our broader perspective and critical thinking skills to define limits. The question is a math game app better than pencil and paper for most children in the long run? How quick should we be in displacing the known for the new? The emerging research suggests we should proceed with caution. We're probably all familiar with the American Academy of Pediatrics and the World Health Organization. Both recommend screen time limits by age, and both recommend that children age 6 through 10 use no more than 1.5 hours of total screen time each day. When it comes to using technology in a learning context, studies have shown that reading on paper generates better understanding than reading on screens. Studies also show that learning with pencil and paper versus an interactive digital platform activates more and different brain activity and helps with understanding and retention. In 2024, a group of scholars published a study called Unpacking the Relationship Between Screen Use and Educational Outcomes in Childhood, a systematic literature review. I want to share 3 sentences from the précis, and warning, they're long sentences. Our findings reveal a growing concern about the cognitive and emotional impact of screen use, underscoring the importance of teacher training and digital literacy for children and parents for appropriate and healthy use of technology. In contrast to what has been previously known, this study highlights the dynamic change in issues of concern about childhood screen use over time and emphasizes the need for educational strategies adapted to emerging digital cultural realities. This comprehensive approach offers a deeper insight into the dual role of technology as both educational tool and a source of risk, providing a foundation for the development of informed and responsible educational practices in the digital age. The risks, including educational outcomes, focus, social isolation, technology addiction, privacy concerns, and the list goes on, are increasingly well understood and being talked about. During my time on PIC, I've asked multiple senior PDSB leaders, and at our last meeting, a member of the EML team, how the board is thinking about limiting the use of technology to humanize and enhance learning in schools, especially for our younger students. Based on the responses I've received, I am concerned that this topic is not sufficiently on the radar. Here are a few examples shared by concerned parents regarding technology use in elementary schools. Students in kindergarten end up watching shows at lunch so that students will sit and behave and eat rather than learn to eat socially with peers. Students in grade 2 spending full instructional periods on desktop computers with headphones, playing games from third-party providers, Prodigy, Interland, Minecraft, and others. Students in grade 3 being asked to submit typed assignments digitally before they have reached proficiency with handwriting. Students in grade 4 learning the speech-to-text feature during a language arts period, totally displacing the need to write. Students in grade 5 spending a phys ed period creating videos to share online about their upcoming sports tournament instead of practicing the sport. Gamifying aspects of learning has its place, but what may seem engaging can also be addicting and isolating and causing harm. Introducing innovative technologies gets young kids' attention, but are we skipping foundational steps? The issue isn't the technology per se, it's the lack of guardrails around it. I'm concerned that despite great intentions, EML is manifesting in the field as a blanket belief that more tech is better, and that the way the board looks at and talks about technology may suggest critical gaps in grasping and addressing the educational and social risks to our kids. More tech is not always better, and sometimes it's much worse. I worry that teachers are not being sufficiently supported to develop a view on where technology fits, and I believe the board needs to look at this and right-size it quickly to preserve the quality of education. I will add that last year I was involved with reviewing the program applications, and in an overwhelming majority of events that I reviewed were from schools who wanted to host events featuring a topic of helping families navigate issues relating to technology, demonstrating that this issue is top of mind for parents. It's now 2025 and it's time to have this conversation. I strongly encourage the board to commit to assessing the complex landscape of ed tech and establishing clear and balanced guidance for technology use in our schools, especially for our youngest and most vulnerable elementary and middle schoolers. Then we need this guidance rolled out to administrators and teachers as soon as possible. We want to see things like, number one, evidence that the board's approach to tech is grounded in the best research available on the opportunities and risks. Number two, clear guidance on acceptable use and misuse of technology as an educational tool, including graduated introduction, e.g., learn to write before you learn to type. Number three, clear guidance on the number of hours in a school day that a child under 12 should be watching videos or seated at a computer, and accountability. And number four, professional development and clear guidance on the real privacy and related concerns with photographing and recording children, and a denormalization of using recordings for assessments, posting on social media and classroom settings, etc. What are we going to do about this?
Jasmine wants to share something. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I just wanted to give a point of order through a governance lens and just note that while we value individual opinion and concerns on these matters, I just want to remind the committee that we do need to respect the mandate of the agenda and PIC as parent engagement and not individual concerns from committee members. I believe those can be taken back by the superintendent.
Okay, so I will take back your concerns, and I do also, Allison, have our two of our policies here, the use of personal devices. So of course, cell phones are banned in schools. Personal devices are banned in schools, and as per our cell phone ban, and also as per our digital citizenship policy 78, technology is used in schools for educational purposes only. And so that is our policy. So if there are kids using it at lunchtime, that's not our policy. So our policy is that personal electronic devices and technology is used for educational purposes only. We do take the point that increasingly we're moving towards technology and education. For example, in secondary schools, kids need to have at least 2 online courses to earn their Ontario Secondary School diplomas. EQAO is done online. I think parents and families can request a paper copy for grade 3s, but really the grade 3, 6, 9, grade 10 OSSLT is done online. So that is the trend. And so we do want our students to be able to engage online, but we certainly hear your concerns, and some of those concerns are addressed in both of our policies, but we will certainly take this back. I think the EML vision came out in 2020. The revision is timely. And so we were hoping we tried to make sure that the survey was accessible. If the survey is still not accessible to you, what we will have you do is send your concerns directly to Superintendent Smith and coordinating principal Tony Mosconi as per consultation around the review of the policy. But we certainly do hear your concerns, and we'll take it back.
Thanks for that. And yeah, didn't mean to make an overstep, that's for sure. I was asked to provide an update on an agenda item, so I provided the update on the agenda item. And I'm really curious if others have views. And I appreciate that feedback. I've shared what I see in practice in my community. So there's what's on the policy, and then it seems that in some cases, some different things are happening in practice. It's concerning.
Thank you, Alyssa, and thank you, Atia, to provide your suggestion. And just want to add to what Alyssa said already. So we would like to know what are the recommended limits in the school policy for digital learning, and what are the best practices that we use, and the strategies for balancing technology use. And if there is a policy, how the board is implementing, and is there any adjustment that is needed with all the concerns. And with this, we would like to move ahead. If there is no other question or comment.
Madam Co-Chair, may I?
Sure.
So I just would like to comment first, respectfully to Jasmine, that as a team, we try not to put our personal perspectives here. We try to advocate the people behind us, community, not just personal, but yes, sometimes you cross those lines unintentionally. So if it felt that way, so I apologize on the team behalf. But I would like to say that on Allison part, I felt a lot of emotions. I felt a lot of ground realities. I cannot say too much on the fact parts because I don't have facts on me. But it's what I heard from this presentation or from Allison is that a family or caregivers have a concern, or they worried about screen time of youth from kindergarten onwards. Okay, it's not about digital learning isolated. I know we have policy. What I personally felt is about screen time, a balancing. I heard 2025 time, right? Urgency. So, by hearing it, by understanding and processing in a short period of time, I felt and I request the board, later part through motion of consideration, maybe that, but I will bring it up at that time. But, we like to know where boards stand what is their stand on screen time? If there is something commitment around this from the board, I'm not arguing is good or bad. I just would like to know. And I hope by hearing and understanding it collectively, we can, embrace or we can embrace those issues and challenges and, evolve from there. But we like to know that those things have been heard, not as individually, as a collectively, and that something has done to get those findings out, and then see we can have more discussion around it for the future. Okay. So I just would like to, share my perspective. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you, Adnan. Just want to add.
I just have a clarification this evening. Okay, so Superintendent Grant mentioned about the OSSLT in grade 3. Earlier they used to write, and now it's going to be online. So are we training our students to use the keyboard and things like that?
Sure. Thank you for your.
And just before you, and for a grade 2 student, I find that they don't even know how to hold a pencil these days. So are they more adapted using the keyboard?
Absolutely. And I, as a parent, I do share the concern. My son is in grade 10 and he brought home a math and science textbook. And my husband and I were so excited because we haven't seen a textbook for a while. So, so I certainly share your concerns. Yes. So, and that's the challenge, right? So we want to make sure that the children are well prepared. Grade 3, grade 6, grade 9. For the EQAO, and so we have EQAO pilot lessons. A lot of our learning resources are online. And again, we say that we're using screen time for educational purposes only. We've got a scope and sequence in terms of the language curriculum. There is coding that is in the curriculum from, I think, kindergarten to grade 12. A lot of our learning resources like MathUp and Edwig are digital textbooks. So certainly share your concerns. There is nothing in our policies at this point that restricts screen time, that refers to screen time more than that when kids are on their electronic devices. It has to be for educational purposes only. And so I think that this is why this conversation is so timely. And that as we look to update our EML documents and around creating learning cultures that we're hearing from families.
Thank you, Benjamin, and thank you, Athia. And I would just like to summarize what Alisa presented. They are not, I believe that they're not her concern, and they're community concern from the community. And I just want to, in general, that we are focusing on 3 key principles like quality over quantity. Not all screen, we believe that not all screen time is equal. Educational tools that foster creativity, problem solving, and engagement should be prioritized over passive consumption. Number 2, setting healthy boundaries. There should be structured screen use, movement breaks, and opportunities for hands-on learning can help reduce digital fatigue. Number 3, collaborations between parents and educators. There should be open communication about screen use at school and home. And home can help create consistency and responsible digital habits. And by working together, we believe that understanding board guidelines, we can ensure that technology remains a tool for learning, not a distraction from it. And I look forward to hearing to work together so that we can support a balanced approach for our children. Thank you.
Hello. Syria.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can I say something, Madam Co-Chair? Is there a way that the committee can do pamphlets to help parents at home help their kids to adjust?
We will get back to Stacy and when she will be back.
Because
Stacy, and I think your signals are not good. If you can type your comments, we can see there.
Excuse me? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
So we couldn't hear you properly. Can you come again?
Oh no, I was saying, is there something?
So Stacy, and your
As
mic
to
is
how we
cutting
can
in and
help
out.
parents at home.
Stacey, we can't hear your voice is cutting in and out, so we're missing about 50% of what you're saying. Do you think you could type in your comments? Yeah, sorry, we're not getting the full gist of what you're saying. We're missing it. So maybe if you can type it in, then we can sort of look at it and address it then.
Oh, okay.
There's a question.
Dima, you can go ahead, yeah?
We're still on the balancing screen time topic, right? We're still giving feedback?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to just present a different perspective that I experience a lot in my work. I'm a PEDS occupational therapist, and I see a lot of kids and with problematic use of screen time. Screen time has many advantages, but I think the one disadvantage that's often overlooked is there's very strong research to suggest that screen time can be very dysregulating to the nervous system and can cause symptoms of ADHD and ADD. Okay. And anytime you put a screen in a room, I don't have any studies to quote today, but there are studies being done to suggest that anytime you put a screen in a room, regardless of what, it doesn't matter whether the kids are watching Cocomelon or playing a math game, communication skills and social skills, the use of communication skills and social skills decreases, and the incidence of what we call stimming behavior or dysregulatory behavior increased. And I think that is why there's this hesitation to move forward with the use of screens even in educational settings. That's just my 2 cents from the work that I do and the just feedback that I wanted to give. Thank you.
So I'll pick up from where she just left off. This is what I was asking. The school board might have more knowledge and more people working in this area. For example, this young lady that just speak. If we put things like these in pamphlets, in newsletter, and send it out to parents so they really understand why we're asking to reduce screen time for their kids. It's not just to shut them down, but the mental effect that comes from it might help the parents at home too to adjust even from a young age and remove screen time and time the kids, give them proper timing and not just depend on the schools itself, the teacher, the classroom to do it.
And I do want to say, I think we're onto a general trend here because that this was the purpose of the cell phone ban. It really is to reduce screen time. So it's not like the ministry and the board isn't aware, but we do need to continue certainly having the conversation. And as well, we do have the Universal Design for Learning program where we're really looking to support children where they learn best. And so often with UDL, it is a matter of families communicating with the school in terms of how their child learned best and whether there is more screen time because there's, and just in terms of the students' learning profiles, there are lots of opportunities for families to collaborate with educators. We're going to make like we're going to make the learning resources accessible in multiple formats. And even with grade 3 EQAO, there's the opportunity to request a paper test. So, but I do appreciate the conversation because I think the conversation has been around how we expand, how we use technology in terms of AI. And so we do need to have that conversation around universal design for learning and what it really means to create a learning environment that fits each student's individual learning profile.
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Chair. And just to add to that as well, I think, as Stacey Ann was reminding us, also of the mandate of the committee around the parent engagement piece. So how are we making and building that relationship between also parents and schools, and thinking about how we're working in collaboration and together to be able to ensure that students, your children, are learning in the best environment possible, and so that they can reach their full potential. And so look forward to taking this information back and thinking about how we can move forward in a way that we're definitely considering that piece as we move forward with EML, and potentially, I'm not sure where this sits, but potentially there's an opportunity after the revision of the EML document. Not sure where the cycle of the policy on digital literacy is to include something of that nature. So I know that there's the consultation piece that's happening, and so perhaps for those of you here in PIC and also listeners online as well, because that consultation is out, that's something that can also be recommended in through the consultation process.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Do we have any other comments?
Jasmine had a hand.
We are moving to our next slide.
Madam Co-Chair, may I, say something?
Sure.
Would it be possible, if board has any information? I'm just curious about, we mentioned about the cell phone ban recent times, right? How's the feedback, or how's the details coming from school level, from staff or management? How things progressing on cell phone ban?
Through you, chairs, it's been all positive from parents, from educators, or like the kids are more focused. And for elementary, it's a total ban. You don't bring the cell phones to school. For secondary, you put it away in the classroom. And it's been absolutely all positive feedback. And we really haven't had the resistance as well from students and the behavior concerns with educators sort of telling them to put away their phones. So it has been quite positive, and the Safe and Care in Schools department will tell you that we did a really good job. Their department did a wonderful job in terms of the awareness to families and to educators and to principals, and it has been quite positive.
Thank you.
We are moving to our next item for tonight, that is PIC budget update, and I would like to invite our treasurer, Dr. Adnan.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. So I will just share my screen, okay? So, hello everyone and good evening. So, PIC budget and funds for 2024-2025 starts as of September 2024. The balance available at that time was $33,751. Just a disclosure that this information has been fed to me from the board budget secretary. So this is not just coming from word of mouth. So some of the expenses done so far, we had the orientation at PIC in 2024 end in October. It's called multi-year strategic planning. We did some printing, those books. So we spent $194.40 there. During the PIC meetings, previous meetings, you see the next 4 expenses of the food or drinks served at that time. So I'm not gonna name all of that. And then there was expense for books knowledge bookstore. This one. Yeah. This one. Yeah. Sorry about if it's too far for you to read before. So so we started the balance as I mentioned. at 33,751. We had a printing done in our October session at PIC, which was $194.40. Then during the past a few PIC meetings, there was a food and drink expenses or the money we spent during those meetings is mentioned there. The other significant expense was the books knowledge bookstore expense. So basically, I came to know earlier today that I don't know exactly the amount, but I've been told that majority of this expense, or maybe partially, was the for the equity department go to them. Actually, it came here in this under expense, but 50% or maybe less than 50% money has been spent today. So with the permission of the team today, we had received some books to take at our home, provided by the board to PIC members who are in person. And that money was spent there. I was not aware of that before, but I just want to let the other team member know about it. We still have three or four books available. If there are more members here in person, they could have pick it up as well. So based on that information, the remaining available balance for a PIC budget 2024-25 is $32,116.95. Anyone have any questions before we move on?
Can I ask a question? Is it possible to get a breakdown of the book cost?
So I'm expecting before our next meeting, I will have that cost of the partially cost which will go to the equity department. I don't have the access, so I will share it again at that time.
Okay, perfect. And prior to the purchase, did we get an estimate of the books, the cost?
So I don't have details at all specific. So the way I came to know it works is that, the expense we consent or agree to do that, we send it to the board secretary under budget and they approve it with the permission of directors and, the member of the board. But these decisions were done outside us being agreed. So maybe board can reflect or say something. So the question is about.
Thanks, Evan. That's a great question. So these expenses are not for all of the books. So Surya and I had a discussion around what should be in the bags. And we reviewed the resource Everybody Wins, which is a brilliant resource around how to engage communities. And so the approval came from Surya that we go ahead and purchase those books. The other books that are in the loot bag were in the equity department storage for quite a while, over 2 years. So the only purchase really was approved, and the purchase is the book Everybody Wins, which was approved by PIC.
Thank you for clarifying. So what I understood that
I just want.
Co-chair has agreed.
This approval, it was already shared with the PIC members for the orientation program package. So this comes from there. So what is going to be in the PIC baggage? So these books are from there. So what we have discussed already for the orientation package.
Thank you both of you clarifying that. So I will definitely put the breakdowns in the future. I don't have those details at this time. So I apologize if anybody felt negative about it.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, and through you, Chair. And maybe just as a suggestion for the next meeting, if part of the agenda setting, then the budget piece is included, then some of these pieces can be established so that when we come to the meeting, then we have those background details, and then that's just helpful. Yeah, so it's a suggestion for next time.
And I agree. Thank you for that.
Thanks. No worries. Thanks.
So thank you all for listening to me today.
Thank you, Adnan. Now we'll move to our next agenda item, that is board updates, and I invite Dr. Logan and Akshay Grant to provide the board update. And we would also like to invite Susan Benjamin for her update. And thank you.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, Trustee Benjamin, would you like to go first?
Okay, okay, so I requested that I would bring this forward because this is, oh, sorry. Truly, Chair, and thank you. So I'm a member of the PSARTS committee. Now, PSARTS is Peel Safe and Active Routes to School Committee. And we know that, our students walk to school, but most of them are being dropped off. And there's always the issue of traffic at drop off and pickup times and so on and so forth. So the purpose of this committee is to try and encourage our students to do more of physical activity while coming to school. So this committee consists of the city of Mississauga, Brampton, as well as Caledon. It consists of the region of Peel. It consists of the school boards, PDSB, as well as the Dufferin Peel, and Stockport, which is the organization. It consists of Peel Police representatives and organizations like TRCA, which is the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority, EcoSource, and sometimes we have representatives from the board coming and making presentations on, say, a pilot project for a particular school, which was done last time, and so on. And so I thought this is very important that our parent council members know about this activity and how it can impact on making our kids more healthy, teaching them to, walk, especially if they live within short distances to the school. And so I thought I'm just going to just give you a little brief overview, and we'll encourage our parent councils to also be part of it. And maybe next time I will be sending a report to the PIC council so that you can forward it to parent councils. So one of the important things that I, as a member, noticed was that the importance of the bike roll, and what is that? Walk to school. Let me start with walk. So we encourage bike roll and walk to school, especially, of course, this can happen only in winter and in summer. But as far as possible, if older kids, and I've noticed that there are a lot of older kids in high schools who have, bikes and they walk to school, they take transit and so on and so forth, which is what we want them to encourage. Don't rely only on buses. So for those schools which require bike racks, extra bike racks, you can, request them to send me a request for this, which I can forward to the region of Peel, because that provides extra bike racks. And I think most of the schools do have bike racks. So that is another thing that is important. And parents can be aware that, buy a bike, give to your kid. Let's see if you can use it to help them to be more healthy and more active. Another thing is they have activities like the winter walk month. So within the school, some of the schools are closer to, say, like a little park, and even around the whole community, they organize walks. So you're walking in winter. And this winter was really good because I know many of our kids got the opportunity to go and play out in the snow because of the parks which were so near the schools. And I know my grandson did it, and he had a fabulous time because he had guests coming over from London. And instead of going somewhere else to ski, they did the tobogganing and all those kind of things. So, winter walk is a month which takes you out into the winter. And another thing is, if there are problems in front of the school, like during drop-off and pickup time, if you feel that you require a crossing guard or help for parents, then make the application, and PSARTS will bring in the city people to to inspect the area. And we, as members of the PSARTS, also go around the schools to see where we can try to bring in maybe traffic calming measures and so on and so forth. So those are all part of the activities, and the community can also get involved. If there are parents who would like to get involved, they too can come and be involved in this. So we're talking of active, sustainable transport, and we hope that the PIC committees will encourage our parent councils to access the information that is being provided by the PSATS committee. And yeah, or you can always send me an email and I will connect you with the right persons. So that's all I think I wanted to share. And hopefully we'll be able to connect with the parent councils. And I think I'm just going to ask a clarification. So is there a particular day on which parent council meetings are held, like in the month? The schools. So it's,
May I say?
yeah, okay.
So the month can be varied, but they usually, because of the calendar month of the school, have different holidays and time off. Certain school days choose every Tuesday whenever the month they chose, or certain schools do Thursday, for example. Okay, so I've seen those trends, but I have not seen like a Tuesday per school council meeting can ever go in that school year for any other day of the week. Okay.
Okay, the reason why I asked is because I requested my superintendent, to give me a list of the parent council meetings, because as a committee, a member of the PIC committee, I thought let me go and attend a few. But I noticed that it was all clashing with our meetings, which is on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, especially in the second and third weeks. So, that is why it was very difficult for me to go and attend these meetings, which I held in the evening to accommodate our parents. So, and that is why maybe we need to find out, like if the trustee, as a member of PIC committee, if the trustees wish to go attend these parent councils, then it becomes very difficult. So just sharing my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Benjamin. Thank you so much for your insightful presentation. And we believe that your expertise and information that you share were truly valuable. And is there any comment or question? Yes, please go ahead.
Madam Co-Chair, so thank you, Trustee Benjamin, for sharing all that. Just a small question. So the program you mentioned, I was not aware of that. So thanks for sharing. Is this only at school premises, or it's also covering the next neighborhood up where the parking is spread out, maybe a mall or something, associated parking of the school?
Yeah, because cities are involved. City of Mississauga, City of Brampton, City of Caledon, they have their representatives. So if you find that there is a school where there's too much of traffic or there's some problem connected to traffic during that particular time,
yes,
then maybe the school council can approach the principals and then you inform us. And so the city can get involved. And that's what I said. They have another committee which goes and takes a look around the schools, particularly during that times. And also there's the other problem of in certain areas, especially the older areas in the cities, in Mississauga, for example, the schools are older, maybe 50, 60-year-old schools. And then lanes are very narrow.
Yeah.
So there's no parking for parents who want to come in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's this constant struggle, like even between the residents and so on, and the parents who come in there. So anytime there is an issue, you can always let me know or let the committee know. And then we will forward it to the principal, to the PSATS committee. We have one person who is the go-to person, and then he or she, they will try and see how we can, find solutions to that problem.
So this is just a general question. So how they reach out to this committee? Email, calling them through PDSB website?
No, I will give you my email and I will connect you. You can send it to me. It's a PSARTS. It is PSARTS. It's all in capitals.
Okay.
So I will send you an email.
Okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean,
and we will do it to all the school councils.
Yeah, it's a great resource, and I would like to raise my hand first. As part of the school councils, I am. So please come and visit those schools if you like to.
Send me the day. Send me the timing and the day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And now just may I have a motion that the information shared by Trustee Benjamin is received by PIC member? Yeah, Alison, thank you very much. Would like to go ahead with the next presentation by Dr. Camille Bergen.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. And just a few of the board updates for you from the director's office. Each year, this February, and each year we have the opportunity to celebrate Black History Month or African Heritage Month. And this year, the theme is From Ancestry to Destiny, Embracing Our Futures to Knowledge, Unity, and Love. And it was inspired by Director Rashmus's message at the beginning of the year, which is embrace the future. So the connection there. And I know that Althea in her update is going to give a few more examples, but I just wanted to share a couple. I had the opportunity to be at the Center of Black Excellence yesterday, and there were great workshops that they've been offering all month. And so one was on literacy, and they had an opportunity to have a poet come in, Nadine Williams, who was working with students around poetry and looking at Black excellence, along with artists that were also looking at superheroes, and students had an opportunity to make connections between obviously their love of the graphic novels and making connections to African heritage as well. And then I had the opportunity to be at North Park. That's where I was just before I came here, where they had a whole panel of speakers that were speaking about their experiences, their lived experiences through their successes, and being able to, inspire all youth to be able to see the different trials and tribulations and contributions to communities. And so lots of things happening this month. And then, as we know, we are now into semester 2 or term 2, depending on if you're elementary or secondary. And just a couple of reminders, because we know that families would have recently gotten report cards, and really just encourage parents to make sure that they seize the opportunity through the report card to engage in how your child is learning, asking questions, thinking about what are the next steps that are identified in the report card, so that provides an opportunity to build bridges with the teacher and to even set up, regular opportunities to connect with the teacher. Very often, sometimes it's only through the report card that, families are connecting. And I see that also on the side of the educators as well. It should be throughout the year. So just encourage you to recognize that building relationships and understanding how your child is doing and progressing is something that should be happening all year long, not just during the reporting periods. And so just a reminder about registration for a couple of things. So high school course selection is open. So we know that our grade 8s who are getting ready for entering into grade 9 should be selecting their courses for next year. And another great opportunity to be talking with your child's teacher about selecting courses and getting them ready for high school. And then, of course, our kindies. I always get shocked when I see the year. So students in 2021 are coming to school. So if your child, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, 2021. So if your child is born in 2021, they are ready for kindergarten. So just a reminder about that as well. And we also have a learning series for literacy that goes out regularly from our curriculum department. That started last year. It's a virtual early literacy program, and that came out in the All Families message. So just a reminder, because there is one coming up on Thursday, and it is Read, Count, and Soar, and it provides an opportunity virtually to hear about the tips and strategies for supporting your child with literacy and numeracy, and it's open to everybody. And as we know, the election is on the 27th. And so again, encouraging our students through a student vote program. So if your child is in grade 5 and up, we really want to support students in understanding civic engagement and the responsibility that they have to be voters of the future. And so there are opportunities through classes to help students understand the voting process and to see themselves as future voters voters and to be engaged in citizenship. And then finally, we know that in a few days we will be having Ramadan, because Ramadan begins on February 28th and ends around March 29th. And so we know that there are going to be many, many different iftar dinners that are happening across schools. And so encourage families as well to check in with your school around those opportunities, because I know last year there were quite a few, and they were absolutely incredible, having an opportunity to learn about Ramadan and to engage in an opportunity to connect with community. So I will now turn it over to Aviv.
Okay, thanks, Camille. And just to reiterate what Camille has said, the February is Black History Month, and so if we haven't participated in any of the events, there's still more events to go. So the Center of Black Excellence certainly is doing a lot of events that's virtual and that's online. And I do want to highlight that the Center of Black Students is hosting in-person engagements for students, staff, families. Just tonight, they have an Owari family night. And I just got a text that it's going really well and that there are lots of families there, so that's great. Staff, students, and families, just in terms of bringing the theme to life around from ancestry to destiny, embracing our futures through knowledge, unity, and love. And to highlight that there is a partnership with the University of Waterloo where students are engaging in culturally relevant learning experiences through STEM. And certainly through STEM, we have the tools to bridge ancestral knowledge with innovation, creating pathways to envision and realize a future together. The kids will be participating in the Change Maker series, and it's really wonderful to go there and see. The last time I was there, there was a grade 3 class visiting, and just how excited the children are. There's a lot also that's happening in schools, so administrators have been updated me in terms of the tremendously meaningful ways that they're celebrating Black people's contributions to Canada in terms of assemblies, guest speakers, but it's the curriculum work that is most meaningful that occurs beyond February. It's one thing to have guest speakers and the assemblies, but it's the work that's happening in the classrooms, in the curriculum that really is connecting to, for example, the math curriculum. So I was at Erin Mills Middle School on Tuesday, and I was visiting a grade 8 class. And so the students took up the challenge to make what they call tessellations, which is a constellation of shapes with no space. And they were using African fabrics, and they were explaining to me the meaning of the triangle in African indigenous knowledge as symbolizing strength, balance, unity. And there was one student who said, these colors just absolutely make me very happy. And they were so engaged. And so the work that the equity department is doing, they're doing that in schools and they're doing it throughout the year. And it's wonderful to see how engaged the children are. And it's wonderful to see how we can instill engagement and also maintain the fidelity of the curriculum and be culturally responsive as well. And we're doing that as well to affirm the identities of students and families in Peel District School Board. So we're really excited about that meaningful work that's happening in the classroom. Thank you.
Sure, I just have a question, Dr. Logan. Just you mentioned about the Read, Count, and Soar program. Can I just ask about the communication plan for that? Like, how is that communicated with the families? Because I know PIC had received a question around the communication for the Read, Write, and Soar program, and how there were families that were missing out on the communication, and if there was maybe a better way to get the message out. So I just wanted to know for this event, if you could share a little bit about what the communication strategy is for that.
Sure. So this is led by the curriculum department, and it goes out each month in the All Families communication, and I believe it's on the website. I'm not sure because doesn't fall under me, but I believe it's also there. And we know, as you're saying about communication, looking for best strategies. I don't know if it has gone out on social media, but if that is something that you would suggest that we consider, I can definitely share that with the curriculum department and ask them to do that as well. I know last year that they did do flyers, and the flyers did go out on social media. So it could be there. I just haven't checked. But that's what they did historically, that they did go out on the Instagram feed and went out there. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll share that as a recommendation if you think that would be helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
If I could, I would just also like to add that March is Ramadan. It's also Irish Heritage Month. It's also Hellenic Heritage Month, and it's also Persian Heritage Month. And so we will be sending out resources to all schools, and that will go out to all schools next week. Just wanted to highlight that as well.
Thank you, Dr. Logan. Thank you, Atia, for sharing the information, and that's your result. And we really appreciate. And we would like to invite the comments and questions from members.
Madam Co-Chair, if you allow me, I just have a question, a comment from the discussion we just had. So I'm wondering, like, from the board that, these programs you mentioned, and if people have, the community have a feedback who attended the session, or the community member who did not able to attend the session or missed out, and they would like to reach out and as a feedback or anything, how is there a structured resource available on the board website or under that program? Like, we mentioned so many programs happening under Black Heritage, and there are other programs as well. Is there a set of structure there around it?
So I think it depends on the particular event. So for example, some of the events that I shared happened at schools. So the schools would have an opportunity in some manner through feedback. And then, for example, the Read Write Store, I believe, and again, because I was more connected to it last year, so I'm basing it on how it was done last year, and I imagine it's very similar, that often when there's a program like that as well, there's usually a feedback form that is sent out to participants as well. So we really do try to gather as much as possible when there's an event or an activity that occurs to get feedback from families to see, how did it meet your needs? Is there questions that you may have, or is there something that we can do better? So it looks different depending on the event, but individual schools engage in a way to get feedback, and centrally as well.
And since we're talking about the advertising on different platforms, I just would like to request that people agreed in the future now, majority, that, like maybe providing a link for feedback there. So people just don't look for the last moment, or if they have to go due to their personal reasons, they don't miss out those, because I think the host or the creator of that program would like to know how people felt about it. So this is just a request around that. If there's a program which is not possible to have a feedback, is there a general mailbox at PDSB which community member can use to provide feedback?
Through you, Chair, there was a general email communication, I think, for all feedback. I would have to check to see again how actively it is monitored, but I believe that we did have, appeal feedback email, but I'd have to double check to see if it's still active.
And this question is specifically I asked because of my team member Dina. I just totally forgot about mentioning earlier, because I hope this feedback part can assist in some of her questions she had about the program. So that's one of the reasons I mentioned this. For the we mentioned about the calendar events, Ramadan coming and all that stuff. How earlier, historically or currently, those programs get out or reach out to the community? It's available. Is it a month prior? Is it just first week of the month, how board is doing currently right now?
To you, I'll turn it over to Althea because the communication that goes out comes through the equity department.
Right, so the communications around all of the heritage months will go out to schools and they anticipate every year they know when the months are. We try to update our resources to make sure that they're using the resources to affirm identities, but also the all families. It's usually because we also write the all families notice as well. That comes from us. So all families get that notice as well through the communications, all families email. In terms of Ramadan, there are iftars happening in a lot of communities, and often that happens in family of schools, and it's communicated to families through the family of schools. Lots of families show up. So certainly there are multiple ways in which it occurs. And really the truth is we're such a big system. And sometimes there's a lot happening in some areas and not so much in other areas. And so certainly that's something that we work on. There are lots of things happening at the system level, but there are also lots of things happening at the family of schools level, and then certainly at the school level as well.
Thank you. Both of you.
I have a suggestion for the communication department. If we can go, like it is just a suggestion, if we can have a PDF application that everyone can, but all of us are using the phones, and we can have that app and they can get notification for all the events. So this will be faster, and this will make sure that everyone is getting, once they enroll their kids in the school, they get app and they can get information handy in their phone all the time. Do we have any other comments or suggestions? May I have a motion that the members receive the information shared by Dr. Logan and Superintendent Atelier? Thank you, Adnan. Thank you, Shazia. All in favor? We will move to our next part of the agenda, that is communications. Is there any communication to be shared at this point? We have no communication. Next agenda item is committee member motions for consideration. Do we have any motion for consideration at this point?
May I, Madam Co-Chair, is this something we'd like to discuss today? Maybe on this path, like a topic of the PIC event, we're trying to work on it through the committee.
I would suggest that we can discuss the PIC event through a strategic planning committee, subcommittee meeting.
Okay.
Is there any other motion for consideration? So we have no motions for consideration. Next agenda item is committee members' notices of motion. We have no notices of motion. And the last item for tonight.
Madam Co-Chair, can I request for the next meeting part here that can we get some information so we can have a dialogue or discussion on the curriculum changes happening in the fall, including special need or anything? I just would like to request for that, please, here.
Thank you, Adnan. So may I have a motion that we receive the notice of motion from Adnan for requesting curriculum update? Is that?
Yeah.
Do we have a approval? And second, motion approved, notice of motion approved.
Jasmine was that question.
Jasmine, okay. Yes, Jasmine.
Yes, through the chair, I just want to clarify the notice of motion process. So the notice of motion has been introduced by Adnan. So that would mean there's no need for a seconder tonight. It will appear on the next agenda as a motion for consideration. And at that time, the motion will be up for discussion.
Thank you, Jasmine, for clarification. So we will move to our next, Camille has some comments.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this a few times, but just a little bit of a reminder again around sort of the mandate of the committee, so that when we're thinking about the questions and things that surface, that there are connected to parent engagement. So happy to think about how to respond to the request that you had, but just remember that we have, for example, our SEAC committee with this just special education, and so they focus on very specific things about programs that are supporting our exceptional learners. But we also have a curriculum equity and student well-being committee that again focuses on curriculum. So sometimes the questions that are very specific and detailed curriculum would be presented at that committee. And then, as you know, PIC is parent engagement. So just thinking about, as you're thinking about topics and questions and selections, making sure that they kind of align with the mandate, because sometimes we have other committees where some of those other topics might fall. So just wanted to share that as a reminder.
Madam Co-Chair, may I just comment? Yeah, thanks for clarifying, Dr. Logan. Yeah, I just would like to add on my notice of motion that I understand there are two committees, about dealing in those kind of questions or status of that. I'm just looking for an overview or understanding so we can have a general discussion. And at the time when we go in depth, I know we reach out or we connect those committees down to the road if we need to, okay? So I just would like to clarify myself. I appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate that. And the next agenda item is the last one for adjournment. May I have a motion that the Parent Involvement Committee adjourns the meeting at 7:13 p.m. Adnan, and second. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming here and sharing your thoughts and opinions.
Thank you.
Thank you.